It's over!
My life story like Black Rob drinking OE. That brolic shit broken down like Matt Hardy. See through these eyes and people my mind see. It's fucked up, ain't it? No need to remind me, but let me get to it. The stupid shit I was doing left other men dead of their lives is just ruined. From ODs to stick-ups going wrong, I stay sharp. Can think the way my mind think, dog. You not evolved. Used to snip pills out straws in bathroom stalls. Self-loathing scar, give me anything, I get it off. Coke, pills, weed, shrooms, you name it, I sold it, and I ain't proud of that. That's why I never fucking told you keep this shit real. Had a problem with blue pills, was hustling a product, that product could got me killed.
What up, Corner Crew? Welcome to another episode of Culture Corner Wrestling, episode number 2. Coming at you live tonight because we had a lot of developments this week in a little certain situation that's been the talk of the wrestling world, really. And that's the CM Punk situation. But before we get to that, I want to bring up my co-host, Sha-Elemental, King Charisma. What up, fellas?
What up?
What's going on? What's going on? Yeah, welcome back, man. We appreciate you guys coming back on. You know,
For sure. I mean, we had no choice with all this heat going on in the community. So let's talk about it.
Bro, it's crazy right now. They dropped him, like seriously dropped him. And I want to get your opinion on it. So, King, go first, bro.
I don't want to say I am shocked. I'm not necessarily as shocked as everyone else, I think, though.
Right.
I didn't think if there was gonna be a time where Punk gets dropped from AEW, I didn't think it would be this easy. I didn't think it would be one incident or a couple incidents or whatever, and they just drop him, especially because he's probably the most valuable, or he's definitely the most valuable person they have in the company. He's
right.
Basically someone that got them $1 billion deals with Warner Brothers and TV deals and things like that. So for them to basically take their most important asset and have, an incident go down that can easily be moved past with the face of your company, to just have them drop him like a fly is I woke up that morning like, what the hell is going on? Did they really drop Punk? I thought it was fake.
Yeah,
I thought it was fake. I was like, okay, they're saying this as like part of a work or like part of, trying to further. They're trying to maybe capitalize off the storylines from All In or the things that happen backstage at All In. So they're trying to capitalize and turn it into some kind of storyline, and it ended up being real is real. You know what I mean? So, a company dropping their most important asset, or at least one of them, is like that easily it definitely was a shock.
Yeah, it's wild, man. Definitely wild. Sha, what you thinking?
The first thing I thought when it happened was, all right, there was definitely a lot of the noise from Brawl Out originally, and I think that it may have happened back then had the people not been in the confrontation with him physically, not been executive vice presidents of the company who confronted him. I feel like if you take that aspect out of it, they probably would have fired him then, but maybe they couldn't be based on that. And that's the only reason he was really able to stick around. And this was just the incident that kind of gave them the green light to go ahead and get rid of him, especially where you hear that he's going after Tony Khan or something, if that's true. Lunged at, we'll say, whatever that's supposed to mean. I assume that, usually you lunge at somebody, you're trying to grab them at the very least and yell in their face at the very least, which, if that's your boss, probably not a good idea. And then I also think about, too, do you think that Vince McMahon felt threatened for his life when Brock Lesnar threw the belt at him?
No, hell no.
Because his whole speech had me kind of like, I mean, come on, guy. Like, I realize it's probably all based on trying to avoid lawsuits and things of that nature. So I do get it. But, man, he comes off as a little spineless in this whole thing.
Yeah, that's the thing, though. He never had control from the jump. That's
what the issue was. I think, when you don't have somebody there like a Vince, even though I criticize a lot of things he does, I will say you don't see that happening under him because people know you don't do those things. And there's a certain expectation there where maybe that expectation really isn't there, and maybe that contributed to why Cody left when he did. It's hard to say. I still feel like this is probably the best thing for everybody in the long run. I think now AEW can get back to like doing what they're trying to do instead of having all the distractions. But I would definitely say if I was Tony Khan, I would put a lock on that locker room just to keep things in-house. Because clearly all this stuff leaking out, it was not helping any of this.
No, definitely. No. It never helps. It never helps because all it does is add fuel to the fire, and then they start bickering back and forth on Twitter, which is the devil. You know, Twitter's like the Wild West of the social media. You can do whatever you want. And and my thoughts, like Perry should have never went into business for himself and said anything at all in. He should have just shut his mouth. And
yeah,
another thing happened. That was the catalyst that really set off him being fired. The dude should have just shut his mouth, not went on camera and said shit, tried to be a tough guy, and then he got choked up and slapped around a little bit. And I get they have to fire him because like the legal, all that legal terms that Tony Khan was dropping because the lawyers wrote that whole speech. So, but they had to fire him. They had to. There was no way around that.
Yeah. And I would imagine any push that Jack Perry was going to get is probably cold as ice, in the words of MOP right now.
Definitely.
So, and I honestly, he's on very thin ice. I'll be surprised if he gets another push for a long time, because what he pulled out there was really bad too. You don't go out there on live TV and purposely provoke somebody knowing you're going to have to walk by that person 5 minutes before. It almost seems like in a way it was like a setup in a way, just to poke the bear to get him to act up. And when you're Jack Perry, a guy who's a black abyss of charisma and you can't talk on the mic, you're half my size. Like, I'm not buying you beating anybody up. So you can't be doing stuff like that.
No, not at all. Not at all.
It's kind of like a thing, like, who the hell does this guy think he is? I mean, we kind of talked about that last week a little bit, but it's just like, this guy isn't nearly enough of a valuable asset to the company to be behaving the way that he thinks he should be behaving.
No. If he was Darby Allin, I'd be like, you should probably not do that, but you're also Darby Allin, you're not him.
Right. See, that's the thing. Even 10 years ago, Punk would have never been fired for this. They would have suspended him, fined him a couple of $100,000 maybe, but they definitely wouldn't have fired him for it. And I think that's because of all the situation with the Bucks and all them being close, and just the way media is, and the outrage for the little guy, which is Perry in this situation. He is the little guy, but he totally instigated the situation. He really did.
Yeah, absolutely. And okay, you're Jack Perry. Who are you to tell? First of all, as it's understood anyway, and as we've read, it wasn't CM Punk who just like randomly went up to him and talked to him about the glass thing. He had been talked to by numerous people, including Tony Schiavone, previously before that happening, and they were like, "Hey, could you reiterate to this meathead because he's clearly not getting it?" And then he goes and does that stuff. That not only shows like disrespect towards CM Punk, but everybody else who had previously talked to him about that spot as well. So it's like, and it's just unnecessary. Like,
it's an unprofessionalism thing because it's just like you're not even willing to listen to other people in the profession that you do. And Punk is someone who's been doing it, since I was in second grade. So it's like, I'm 23 now. So I'm like, this is someone that you can actually be listening to, and this is someone that probably knows a lot more than you in terms of these kinds of spots. And I think he's just trying to be protective of your safety. And this guy, you called him a meathead. That's the perfect way to describe it. He just wanted to do whatever he wanted to do and wasn't trying to listen to anybody.
Yeah.
So where do we think Punk lands, where do we think this goes? Because we know AEW is out of the question. This isn't a work. Some people I see online, oh, this is a work. It's not. This is
No,
for real. He is gone. He's done. I know there's got to be a non-compete clause, at least a 90-day non-compete clause. But I read that because of the legal terminology that they used, firing him for a cause, it could be up to 1 year. So does he come back to wrestling? Does he wipe his hands with this shit? Does he go to Impact? Does he go to WWE? Where does he land?
I mean, that all depends. Depends on that contract. If it's a year, if they pay him enough money, he can come back to WWE. But also at that point, is it too late? I don't know. If it's now and they could get him to say debut at the Royal Rumble, that would be intriguing for sure.
Right.
But I could also see him going to like New Japan or something like that for a little while as well. Even, believe it or not, Impact. If they were just like, do whatever you want, and there's anybody over there that he actually would want to work with. But yeah, it's really hard to say. I mean, he's going to have options regardless. I mean, it really all just depends on that contract and any legal entanglements he has with AEW getting cleared to be able to wrestle for anybody else. But would I be surprised if Vince McMahon would, brought him back? No, I don't know if really anybody wants that on that side. From what I understand, a lot of the wrestlers themselves don't, but then other ones understand where it could be big money. So it's going to come down to timing with the contracts and just, if Vince feels that he can, do what he usually does and, shut up and do what you're told.
Right. But like you just said, the other guys and money, because if they bring Punk back, everybody makes money. That's how that goes.
Yeah.
Well, so not pay-per-view buys anymore, but even subscriptions, toy merch, all that shit. Everybody makes well money if he comes back, because you already know if he comes back Royal Rumble, that'll be the second loudest pop he's ever gotten since he's come back to AEW. You know that for sure. So, King, where do you think he lands?
It's for me. It's also really hard to tell too, but I think I lean more towards somewhere like in Japan or something rather than WWE or Impact, because I feel as if I think he's either going to go really big or he's going to settle. I don't think that there's going to be I don't think where he ends up is going to be anywhere in between. I don't know that he'll be able to move on and turn the tide and move past certain relationships he has in WWE. I don't know that he'll be able to do that. I don't know if Triple H will be able to do it for damn sure. So, but like you said, the money talks and all of that shit goes out the window. So if they offer him something ridiculous and he's like, you know what, I'll take it. I'll get past all of these issues I had with these people, then so be it. I also think that they wouldn't want to do it unless they had ideas as to where they could use him at. As of right now, there's so many freaking different storylines going on, and there's so many different directions in terms of trying to build certain superstars up. So throwing Punk in the mix randomly, I think it would have to be a little bit of time. It would have to be at very least, at very earliest Rumble, between Rumble and Mania at very earliest, and that might even be being generous. So I think I don't lean WWE. I don't lean somewhere like Impact either. I think he might go to an indie in Japan or something for the time being, and then maybe down the line he'll go back to the big boys again and sign with WWE or something.
See, I think he's going to go WWE right out the gate, just because of the way the Punk is, to give that middle finger to AEW and be like, all right,
Yeah,
this is what you missed out on. And I think he comes back in the Rumble, man. I really do. And I think if I was actually talking to Sha about this, I was fantasy booking a little bit. I think they bring him back in the Rumble. Either they can put him any number, but one or two, let him go straight through. Him and Cody pull the Hot Luga finish at the end. Both hit the mat same time. Triple threat in Mania with Roman, and let Punk take it. That he would get so much heel heat at Mania if he beat Cody and Roman at the same time. And that's just a money right there. That's all I see is money in that situation. But who knows where he could land? New Japan is a good idea too, though. But what does he do? Come straight for Okada or whoever's their champ right now? Like they have to be. He has to be a main eventer wherever he goes.
No, and he's earned that. I think he's definitely earned that. I'm just not sure in that scenario that you just brought up. I'm just not sure. Like they obviously value Roman so much. He's obviously their bread and butter as of right now. I don't know that they value bringing in Punk, who's been out of the company for so long,
Who left
being the
on
one,
that
right,
terms?
being the one to dethrone Roman. I'm not saying that they value Cody more than Punk. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I just don't know if they value Punk more than Roman, especially being Punk left the company and, not even on great terms either, like kind of with a sour taste. So we'll see though. We'll see though. I'd be down and open to seeing that around Rumble season. But like I said, they would have to. There's so many different type of uh, storylines and character development in place right now that throwing Punk in would kind of throw a wrench in it, and I'm not sure if it's good or bad. But I'd definitely be curious to see what they do with it if he came back, for sure.
So, wherever he goes, it's going to throw a wrench in it. Really,
Yeah,
you're going to upset whatever even the kayfabe side and the working side of it is definitely going to be, it's going to be upset, and it's not. It's just because it's Punk and it's who he is, and we all know that he's a dick, and it's just but he's proud of it. He carries himself by that way,
yeah,
and you're right, he has earned a lot of pull and leeway. And but yeah, I could see him going back to WWE. Just they value money and they value merch sales. If he
yeah,
goes back, his merch shoots up to number one, two, three in 2 weeks. You know what I mean? And
right.
that's all they care about is that bag. So we know how they do. Impact, if they got him, they would start to blow up. I think they're the ones that need him the most.
Yeah. Oh no, they Impact definitely would need someone of Punk's caliber the most, absolutely. But I think you're right in terms of the fact that you said he could use the WWE just as a big middle finger to AEW. It's like, oh, because obviously that's their competition. No matter what, it's WWE, AEW, and then
Right.
everybody else at this point, right?
Exactly.
So if AEW dropped him, he's probably like, oh, well, you guys, that's fine. You guys realize that I can go anywhere in the world I want, even to your number one competitor, who I know you try your very hardest to always beat, and vice versa. It would be the same way the other way around. So I think there's definitely the possibility he throws the two middle fingers in the air to AEW, and it's like, you know what? I don't even care about none of the politics and BS that comes with going back to somewhere I left or whatever. I just want to say the fuck you, basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not like he needs the money. He really doesn't
No,
need the money.
no,
So,
not at all.
but
But I'll
let's
damn
do our
sure take it.
yeah, definitely. Let's do our final thoughts. Let's wrap this up. We wanted to just come on here real quick and give our audience a little taste of what we're doing here for Culture Corner Wrestling. So, Sha, wrap it up. Final thoughts. What you thinking?
Well, I mean, professional wrestling, it's crazy. I mean, it's pretty nuts for a guy to go from, I mean, main eventing his own, basically getting cleared for his own, a show getting cleared pretty much for him specifically, to turn around, what, a month or two later and be fired from said company. This is
Right.
like if back in the day, SmackDown became a show at first, and 2 weeks later they fired The Rock. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like it's pretty crazy. I mean, uh, it's just like I don't know where Punk goes from here. I don't even know if he keeps wrestling. If I was him, I don't even know if I'd bother at this point. You know what I mean? Like, what are you going to do? You're going to go back to WWE to work for somebody you clearly do not like in Triple H. Vince McMahon, obviously somebody you don't have respect for numerous reasons that he's obviously gone into at length, with Colt Cabana and then got in, lawsuit with him. And it just seems like anything Punk touches at this point just goes left. So maybe it's time he just, takes all that money he made and just, goes and chills somewhere. If not, if he really wants to make things different, start his own company. You know what I mean? And then do things his way. Have it his way. Have Jim Cornette come in. Those two can run the company. And then they'll both have something, that fits the image of what they think professional wrestling is. I'd watch it.
That's actually a wild idea.
I know, right?
That is a wild idea. But I don't think anybody would want to work for them. So there'd be like 5 guys on their roster. So they would kind of suck.
Unless you don't mind getting yelled at all the time.
Hell yeah. King, final thoughts, brother.
Yeah, man. I mean, at this, it's kind of just a thing with wait and see, because he also could very much just not wrestle again, at least for a very, very long time. He could say, you know what, fuck this. Everything that I touch doesn't end up working out the way that maybe both parties would want it to. I definitely think in this particular situation, I feel as if, Khan and the people at AEW definitely, I'm not gonna say they made the wrong decision, because at some point they maybe not have had a choice, but I definitely think that Khan showed how much he had respect for Punk and everything that he's done in terms of what path he chose, in terms of who he kept and who he got rid of. So that's one thing, but he very much could go just chill somewhere and sit on the money that he made. But I would definitely tune into wherever he goes. Wherever he goes, I'm going to be tuned in. Whether that is in WWE, since that's, my primary wrestling consumption. But, it's a wait and see thing. Wait and see.
Definitely. I personally think that there's 2 sides of Punk. There's the ego side where he has to be the man. He has to be front and center. And then there's the side that he's going to take his ball and go home, and he's not going to play with the other kids. So it depends on what side of Punk is taking over at this point in time in his life. But if it's the gotta be the star type, I think he comes back as soon as possible.
I mean, everything we really heard, though, was that it wasn't so much him not wanting to play with them. It was more them not wanting to take
play with him,
anything from him or any of the older, people.
Also, we have to also judge him on his past actions and the way he's always.
I was going to say that, yeah.
So,
I was going to say they probably don't feel like they probably don't want to take any game from him, because they're like, who the hell are you to tell me this? Because you did this. This is how this happened in your career. I didn't forget about this. So who the hell are you to tell me? Because I didn't forget all of these things that went wrong in your career. I didn't forget that. So I don't necessarily respect anything that you're trying to give me.
Yeah, I feel that. But at the same time, that's like trying to say, yo, Bobby Brown, I'm not trying to listen to you tell me how to dance because you had a coke problem.
No, of course, exactly. I'm not saying it's right, but it does. I think that it is. That
was a good analogy.
Brilliant analogy. Brilliant, fucking brilliant. But no, exactly. I think that it is wrong, but I do think that it is to some degree what kicks into these people's heads.
Definitely, exactly. It's the way that he's respected, which sucks, because it sucks for professional wrestling, because Punk is one hell of an entertainer. He really is. And it sucks. It sucks for the fans, and it sucks even for himself, because he's just going to continue to taint his legacy, which that's what it comes down to. He wants to be remembered, and it's going to just be, like you said, everything he touches goes left.
Yeah. So. And I think he will be remembered. It just won't be the way that he could have been remembered.
Exactly.
A lot of people, they're going to remember more bad than good, and that's fucked up, because he's damn good at everything he does. So.
Hell yeah. But fellas, again, thank you guys for coming on. It was a pleasure shooting the shit with y'all,
For sure, man.
And we'll be coming back real soon for episode number 3. Multiple different topics to choose from, because like Sha said, the wrestling world is crazy. But hell yeah. Thank you guys again, and for everyone tuning in, shout out to y'all, man. Culture Corner Wrestling, we out. Peace.
Sure, see y'all.
He's going for the gorilla press. He did it. I can't believe it. It's over.
My life story like